Well, the Texas Stock Exchange is now open for business.
This Dallas-based market was approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission and looks to compete with the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. GMAT's Emma Kay is looking into what the exchange could do for Texas businesses and how our state economically compares on a global scale. Emma, good morning.
Good morning. Now, the idea behind the exchange is to provide a more cost-effective way for companies to publicly list their stock while also providing more flexible regulation for businesses still looking to go public. While the doors opened earlier this week, the exchange has yet to begin. A limited public trading phase is set to happen tomorrow. That's when the TXSE will begin live trading the first 5 securities. The exchange isn't expected to immediately function like the New York Stock Exchange. The first phase is underway right now, and it's focused on tech and trade routing, making sure the system works before moving to full-scale trading.
And testing is critical. Let's say that you wanted to buy or sell a particular security in your portfolio. All the testing makes sure that those trades happen flawlessly.
The exchange is already drawing attention and investment into our region. So far, the Dallas-based exchange has raised $275 million. Plus, Governor Abbott's office says the state has an estimated $2.9 trillion economy. Treated as a standalone country, that would make it the 8th largest in the world. Texas is now one of just 6 states that serve as the headquarters for a national stock exchange. Right now, its temporary headquarters is in the heart of Dallas. The organization's website says in the long run, its physical presence will grow into the Texas Market Center. Back to you.
All right, Emma, thanks for keeping an eye on this for us.